spiritual journey and you think that it's all butterflies and rainbows and you have it all figured out, I'm gonna burst your bubble. Bursting your bubble. Basically, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to say is probably things that you're currently experiencing that you didn't realize was your ego. So, let's get into it. Your ego is the part of your mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious. So it is your identity, it is your sense of self, it is the you that you're experiencing in a sense. For me, my ego is like, I'm the peacemaker, I'm nice, I'm the mediator. Now it's like, I'm spiritual. That's kind of my identity. It's the sense of self that I have, even though that sense of self isn't me, it's my character. It is who I am embodying. So, what is the spiritual ego? Yeah, my definition of the spiritual ego is, the spiritual ego is the form your ego morphs into under the guise of spiritual knowledge/wisdom. So it tries to convince you that it is not the ego in order to keep you in the same familiar patterns. So now that we know what the spiritual ego is, it is time to get into the 10 traps of the spiritual ego. First trap of the spiritual ego: cut out everything that doesn't bring you joy. So why is this statement problematic? A lot of people will use this statement of cut out everything that doesn't bring you joy as a means of avoiding their triggers, avoiding anything that is uncomfortable, when in reality, this spiritual journey is uncomfortable as fuck. It's really important to be able to discern between, I'm cutting off this person because they're triggering me and I don't want to experience the discomfort that they're making me experience, as opposed to, I am cutting this person out of my life because they are not aligned to my highest good. Obviously, it can be very difficult to discern between the two, and it's very easy for, again, your spiritual ego to lie to you and to tell you that you are cutting this person out of your life because it's what's best for you, when in reality, you're actually avoiding it because of how uncomfortable you are. You have to make sure that you let go of this false expectation that you're not supposed to be triggered, when in reality, especially when going on your spiritual journey, being triggered is so important to understanding where your shadow is and being able to understand yourself. I think the main thing that helps out with this point and having this proper discernment is facing that trigger no matter what, regardless of if this person is or is not supposed to be in your life. When you're able to look this trigger dead in its little beady eyes, fuck you, just kidding, I love you, bitch. Then it's easier to discern, am I letting go of this person because they're triggering me, or am I letting go of this person because that's what's in my highest good? The second trap of the spiritual ego is, I always have to be love and light. This is so not true at all. So the whole trend of not just like love and light, because love and light is amazing, but the only love and light spirituality, it is the embodiment of toxic positivity. No, don't be angry because everything's beautiful and everything's love and light. Just be grateful. It's true. Be grateful. Be appreciative. But when you're fucking angry, let yourself be angry. It's about learning how to respond to that emotion while still letting it out in a way that's healthy for yourself and the people around you. Again, what's healthy is still based on perception, so it's very confusing. The problem with I always have to be in love and light is you're really getting caught in the polarity. I always have to be good. I always have to be positive. And in that, you are going to be denying your shadow, and therefore, when you're actually repressing your shadow and not looking at it, it has a lot more power over you because it's coming through the subconscious. When you actually face your shadow, when you look at it, as I said, dead in its beady little eyes, and you say, I love you, no matter what, because you deserve it unconditionally, it actually has way less power over you in that instance because you're able to look at it, accept it, allow the emotions to move through you, and make whatever decision you want outside of what your emotions are telling you to do and outside of what the polarity of good or bad, right or wrong, light or dark is also telling you to do. Number 3, being spiritually awakened makes me better than other people. When you first go through your spiritual awakening, you suddenly feel so much better than you used to be. And that almost makes you believe that everybody that's not awakened, you're somehow superior than them, or you're somehow above them for having this new level of awareness and this new expanded mindset. This is a very, very dangerous mindset to be in because you're not better than anybody. And at first when I was hearing people say that, I was like, what does that even mean? Because like for so long, I saw myself as inferior. I saw myself as below everyone. So when I went through this awakening, I was like, oh, I'm actually better than everyone because I'm still looking at the world through this superior, inferior kind of hierarchy, when in reality, this hierarchy is just perception. If you are thousands of lifetimes ahead of some of your friends and family, and you're at this level of consciousness and awareness and expecting like, oh, I'm better than them because they're at this level of consciousness or awareness, and you're literally comparing it on another fucking hierarchy, it's a false dichotomy because it's almost like, oh, my soul that has learned more lessons is better than this soul that hasn't learned as many lessons yet, even though at another point in a different incarnation they'll be at where you are, or even in this incarnation they'll be at where you are. I think also a lot of people think once they wake up they don't have anything left to learn from people who are at this lower state of consciousness, or people who are not awakened, in simple terms, even though all of these fucking words are so dividing. Oh, language is so limiting. So imagine like people who are unawakened or asleep have like a consciousness like this open, and then you wake up and suddenly your consciousness is like this size, right? You expand and grow, and someone's at this consciousness. This doesn't mean you're gonna know everything they know like this. They're probably going to have some knowledge you don't have, and you're gonna have knowledge they don't have. And there's still things that you can learn from this person with a more limited mindset. Limited mindset doesn't mean that they don't have any valuable insight that you wouldn't have. In a lot of cases, our own unconscious biases just within ourselves and judging ourselves can easily be projected into other people. And I've certainly had conversations where I accidentally implied that I was better than someone, even when I transcended this idea of there even being superiority or inferiority within consciousness. So it is very important that you are very careful about the language you use to describe all of this to the people around you, because you do not want to insinuate that you are better than them in any sense, because you're not. Quite frankly. Number 4. I have to get over it. This has to do with your emotions and thinking that you have to like transcend all of your bad feelings, right? A lot of times we think that we've healed something because consciously it's not affecting your everyday life. You think you're over it. Healing happens in a spiral. Healing does not happen linearly. And also when you go back to old traits, this doesn't mean you're going backwards. If healing is like an onion and there's layers and you have to keep going around, if you heal the first layer of the situation, you're gonna come back to it and come back to it, and you're not going to penetrate through all of the layers at once, and that is okay. So recognizing that if there's something that you thought you were over that you turn out to not be over, do not resist it. Just accept, oh, this is coming up again. What more do I have to learn from this situation? Or if it's the same lesson, what's a deeper aspect of this lesson that I didn't fully comprehend or didn't fully learn to embody the first time? Everybody has to face things that they thought that they had already healed from, and face things that they thought that they had already transcended. And it's okay to realize that that is not the case. And remember, whatever you resist persists. So trying to resist that you need to face this again, all that's going to do is again push it back into your subconscious and have it manifest in other ways. And all it's going to do is create more karma and make it more challenging for you to actually face this. Don't avoid your negative emotions. Your negative emotions are just as beautiful and valid and as important as the positive ones. Number 5, I need to achieve enlightenment. This can also look like I need to be in 5D, and I need to be in 5D all the time. I think when most of us go through our spiritual awakening, or at least when I went through my spiritual awakening, you experience this intense, beautiful feeling of euphoria, this crazy, amazing feeling of peace. So you almost get this taste of enlightenment. You almost get like the enlightenment seasoning, right? And you're just like, oh fuck, that tasted good as shit. And then it's like, all right, in order to really embody this frequency, now you have to go through a lot of darkness and a lot of shit. And I think a lot of people get caught up in trying to achieve this destination where everything's perfect, there's no problems, they're no longer triggered, and that place is an illusion in of itself. These states of consciousness doesn't mean you're going to be there all the time. Just like you're not happy all the time, you're not sad all the time, you're not angry all the time. There's different emotions that we experience, and our vibration can shift and change. In reality, the key is to allow yourself to experience all the different states of consciousness, all the emotions. The idea that you're supposed to achieve 5D or achieve enlightenment, it's an illusion, because really this entire spiritual journey is that. It's about the journey and not about the destination. As cliche as it sounds, pounds, it's true. Number 6, everybody that hurts me or everybody that disagrees with me is toxic. So I think a lot of times because someone hurt us, we just kind of put all the blame on them, label that person, dismiss them, oh, they're toxic, they're a narcissist, and then we don't take any personal responsibility in that situation for why we attracted that relationship in the first place. I really think calling people toxic is an idea that we need to let go of. In reality, I think it's important to understand that the relationship was toxic, or that the coping mechanisms that person has is toxic or unhealthy or detrimental to the people around them. But when you really look into why someone is toxic, if someone's manipulative, let's just say, and someone guilt trips you and gaslights you and uses these forms of emotional manipulation in order to get what they want out of you, what were they going through in their childhood that made it where they had to develop those manipulative patterns in order to get what they want? Maybe they were in a family that was rather neglectful, and the only way they knew how to get any sort of attention or emotional support, or to get people to be like, no, I do love you, I do care about you, was by that form of emotional manipulation and making other people feel bad in order to receive love. But this doesn't mean you excuse their actions. Forgiving someone and loving someone doesn't mean welcoming them back into your life. You can hold love and empathy and space for this person within yourself without giving them the ability to put you back into this cycle that was very unhealthy. So actually at first, sometimes it is good to be angry because it motivates you to do what's best for you. Food for thought. Number 7, doing low vibrational things means I won't heal or I'm not spiritual enough. I think a lot of people fall into this when it comes to, I can't eat hot Cheetos because they have all these chemicals in them. Or I can't drink a glass of wine because alcohol is low vibrational. In reality, of course, all of these things have a vibration. Alcohol has a vibration, hot Cheetos have a vibration, and these things can certainly affect you. But the perception you have of the action has a stronger vibration than the action itself. Let's say that I want a glass of wine and I instill this feeling of guilt into myself of, no, the glass of wine is low vibrational, you won't be spiritual, you won't be able to awaken, you won't be able to heal yourself, you're just escaping, and I'm really hard on myself for wanting this glass of wine. So what happens if I don't have the glass of wine? I am making that decision from a place of obligation. I am not drinking that glass of wine out of fear. So I am making that choice at a lower vibration. So let's say I really want this glass of wine. I feel really guilty. I feel really ashamed. I choose to have this glass of wine and I'm, again, really hard on myself. Oh God, like I shouldn't have done that. How terrible. What's lowering your vibration more than drinking that glass of wine is you being so hard on yourself. So if I have this glass of wine and I say, you know what, at the end of the day, I want to relax. And even though maybe this substance is low vibrational, I am making a high vibrational choice of I am doing what I want. And so when you sit there and you're present with the wine, you enjoy the taste of it, you enjoy the sensations that arise in your body because of it, and you fully enjoy the experience of the alcohol, you actually made a higher vibrational choice than not drinking the wine at all and being super hard on yourself. Number 8, which is closely connected to the previous point, I need to do blank in order to be spiritual. I think it's very important to recognize how the label of spiritual limits us. A lot of times once we have the spiritual awakening, we're like, oh, I am now spiritual. So I fit under this label, I fit under this identity, and therefore I need to embody these characteristics in order to fit into that. Being spiritual does not mean you need to meditate every day, even though I recommend it. You don't need crystals. You don't need incense. You can literally embody any look, any traits, any beliefs that you want in order to follow this spiritual path. You don't have to do any of the shit that other people tell you that you have to do. Because for them, that is what spirituality is to them. When you are spiritual and you don't follow the exact traits that someone else considers to be spiritual, oftentimes that will be very triggering to them because you are threatening their sense of identity and their sense of ego. And I think a lot of people lose sight of the fact that just because something is right for you doesn't mean it's going to be true for everybody and doesn't mean it's going to resonate with everybody. Literally, spirituality is the most open-ended kind of shit in the world. You do not have to follow or not follow anything. Number 9, I know what reality is and you don't. We all believe different things and have a different perception of the universe. And I think a lot of times we will get really triggered when someone believes something differently than us. Because again, that ego, that spiritual ego is being challenged. For example, let's say that you believe in spirit guides and you have a friend that totally just doesn't believe in it. And they're like, no, I think all of those things are just your subconscious mind. If you get really triggered over the fact that they don't believe in it, that is because your ego almost has an attachment to this being true. I think this mindset that I use really, really helps with being able to accept all perspectives. I truly believe that human beings, our brains can only understand so much of this incredibly large, complex universe. When you look at it from the perspective of it is possible that my truth and your truth are both simultaneously true, and even though in our human perception they contradict each other and they can't exist at the same time, it is possible that in the encompassing of all that is source, both of these realities are both accurate realities. It eases a lot of the tension between needing to be right. And I do believe that it is possible to have certain false perceptions, and thinking that you are immune to having false perceptions, it's ignorant and it makes you more prone to having these false perceptions because you are not allowing yourself to be open to the fact that in reality, the universe is composed of infinite possibilities. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which reality is true and which reality isn't true. Just having acceptance for everybody's perspectives is great, and allowing yourself to believe whatever suits you and whatever works for you and your journey is valid and beautiful and fucking amazing. Your experience is your experience and your experience alone. And if someone else hasn't experienced that, expecting that your experience can just be transferred over and be like, well, you should trust that this experience is real because I've experienced it. A lot of people need to experience it for themselves. For example, you can tell a person all day and all night that they are not their thoughts, but if they don't understand that, and if they haven't truly experienced that realization for themselves and really been able to see why they're not their thoughts, they're not going to get it. They need to have the realization on their own, even though you can plant the seeds. There's no right or wrong perspectives, just different angles of what the truth is. Number 10, I won't feel bad emotions when I'm completely healed. This is the biggest load of bullshit ever. Especially when you first go through your awakening, you sort of experience this period of euphoria and intense, like, oh my God, everything's amazing and everything's beautiful and nothing's wrong and it's all working out. It's not about not experiencing negative emotions and only experiencing positive emotions. It's about almost coming into that place of the center, coming above all of it, allowing yourself to experience all of it, rather than being shoved into high and shoved into low and shoved into high, and then you're just kind of like being controlled with the flow of what you're feeling. You are instead going to experience all of them without putting the labels on, oh, this is a good emotion and this is a bad emotion. Even like, oh, this is beautiful and this is ugly, and I love and accept both of those experiences and perceptions. Like, this is cute. It's not cute. How dare you interrupt my video? See, it's even about perception. No, don't leave. You're always going to experience a full range of emotions as long as you are human. Love it, embrace it, accept it, and your perception can actually control how much of an impact these emotions have on you. For example, before when I was sad, I would get really unhappy and I'd get really uncomfortable and I'd be like, I don't like it. Why am I sad? I'm so stupid. I'm so weak. Whereas now when I'm sad, I'm like, I love you. Thank you for releasing these emotions. Thank you for feeling what you're feeling. Thank you for being here. So even though I'm experiencing the same emotion, my perception of the emotion and the way I respond to the emotion is different. All right, so that is it. Thank you for watching this video. Please like if you liked it because that really helps me out. Please comment any other video ideas you'd like me to do, and subscribe if you really love this content and want to see more of it. I'll see y'all in the next one. Thank you for watching my videos.